Good morning, students. Today we are going to start unit number 6, that is transport layer. So far we have discussed about physical layer, data link layer, medium access sublayer. After that, the network layer. In unit number 6, we are going to discuss about two layers. That is, first part is about transport layer. In this transport layer, we are going to discuss about what is transport layer and what are the responsibilities of transport layer and what are the different types of protocols in transport layer. The second part of this unit is about application layer. In the application layer, we are going to discuss about what is application layer and what are the major services. Mainly, we are going to discuss about the email service. What is domain name system? Okay, very general topics we are going to discuss in the second part of this unit number 6. Let's start with the transport layer. The first part is about the transport layer. Here in the transport layer, as we know, transport layer is the above layer for network layer, right? Here, coming to the first topic is transport service. Here, as I told you, the transport layer provides services to its upper layers. And in this, we are going to discuss what are the services provided to the upper layers. The second one is what are transport service primitives and what is Berkeley sockets and a socket programming example. These are the topics we are going to discuss in the next slides. See, first one is first one, services provided to the upper layers. Coming to the diagram here, see here, this is the sender side transport layer, host 1. This is the receiver side, host 2. Here, the above layer for transport layer is application layer, or in some models we may have session layers and presentation layers. This is application layer. In some reference models, application layer will perform the activities of presentation layer and session layers as well. So the transport layer above layer is application layer mentioned here. Here the transport layer below layer is network layer. Here this is the host 1 and host 2. Here we are having a TPD. That means, see, this is sender side and this is the receiver side. The data unit exchanged between sender side and receiver side is TPDU. That is transport layer data unit. Transport layer protocol data unit. PDU means protocol data unit. This is the transport protocol. And see, this is the transport address. This is the transport address, and this is the what is the interface between application layer and transport layer? That is application transport layer interface. The interface between transport layer and network layer is transport layer network layer interface. Okay, here this is the network address. In the transport layer, the transport entity. This is the transport entity. By using the transport protocol, this is the TPDU which was exchanged between the sender side transport layer and receiver side transport layer. Here, in this way, the services provided to upper layers. Transport layer will provide services to upper layers. How I will show you. See here, the application layer. This is the sender side. See the receiver side. The sender side transport entity will be sent to the receiver side. See here, will be sent to the receiver side application layer. Receiver side transport layer will send the data to its above layer, that is application layer. In this way, the transport layer will provide services to its above layer. Just take a clip of this diagram. Here, Coming to this diagram, the ultimate goal of transport layer is provide the efficient, the reliable and cost-effective services to its users. Repeat, note this point, students. The ultimate goal of transport layer is to provide efficient, reliable and cost-effective services to its users. Where the users are at application layer. The users are at application layer. Normally, to achieve this goal, the transport layer make use of the services provided by the network layer. See here, to achieve the above said goal, it will take the transport layer will take the services from the network layer and it will provide the services to its above layer application layer. Okay, here the hardware or software within the transport layer that do work is called as transport entity. This transport entity may be the hardware and software, and it will perform all the tasks of transport layer. Okay, this is the transport layer services provided to its upper layers. Coming to the second one, after services provided to upper layers, what is the next one? Transport service primitives. Transport service primitives. This is very simple. We are having a table here. In the table, we are having 3 columns. In the first column, we are having the primitive. Second column, the packet information. Third column, the meaning of the primitive. See, first primitive is listen. Okay, listen meaning is it blocks until the process tries to connect. Okay, it blocks. That means a process. The listen primitive blocks until the process try to connect. Second primitive is connect. This is the connection request. This is the connection request packet. This connection request packet is mainly used to establish a connection. Okay, next, send. Send, the packet will be sent is data. The meaning is send the information. Next, receive. For receiving, there is no packet sent. Block until the data packet arrives. The meaning is the receive primitive blocks until the data packet arrives. Last one is disconnect. Disconnect request. Whenever the disconnect request is also a packet will be sent for the. In the previous one, connect. What is the meaning of connect? We are sending a packet containing the connection request. In the disconnect primitive, we are sending a packet which is containing the disconnection request. This side wants to release the connection. Okay, it wants to release the connection. Next, coming to the transport layer primitives. See, the nesting of TPDUs, packets and frames. Okay, see here, this is the frame header, this is the packet header, and this is the TPDU header. This is the data link layer, this is the network layer, and this is the transport layer. For the data link layer, it was the frame payload. For the network layer, it was the packet payload. For the transport layer, it was the TPDU payload, transport layer protocol data unit payload. Here, the transport layer data unit is called sometimes segment or it is TPDU. Network layer data unit is packet. Data link layer data unit is frame. Here, this diagram shows us the nesting of TPDU packets and frames of transport layer, network layer, and data link layer respectively. Okay, this is the diagram. See, what the meaning of the diagram is, this is a state diagram for simple connection management scheme. This is a state diagram for simple connection management scheme. Here, transitions are labeled in italics. See, here we are having 2 languages. One is transition is labeled in italics or caused by packet arrivals. The solid line shows the client state sequence. Here 3 points to be noted. One is italic, second one is solid lines, third one is the dashed lines. Solid lines shows the client state sequence. The dashed line shows the server state. Simply, solid is client state sequence. Dashed lines is server state sequence. Okay. See here. Initially, it was ideal. There is no connection establishment. See here. Connection request TPDU is received. The connection for the connection request TPDU, we need to execute a primitive, connect primitive. Okay. In the last slide, I told you, right? For the connection establishment, we need to use the connect primitive. The connect primitive is executed. See here, connection request request TPDU is received. Okay. After executing the connect, this is a dash. What is the meaning of this dashed line? Dashed line is for server, and solid line is the client state sequence. Okay. Now, after these two, the connection primitive is executed at the server side and connection accepted at the client side. Finally, the connection was established here. See here, once the connection has been established, the connection is no longer needed. The disconnect primitive is executed. And here also the dashed line indicates this is the server state sequence. The solid line indicates the client state sequence. Disconnection request TPDU received. See, this is a passive disconnect pending. This is the active disconnect pending. Now the disconnect request TPDU is received. Now the disconnect primitive is executed. Finally, it was ideal. Here simple, we need to remember 3 points. Here, one is the transitions are labeled in italics. Those are caused by packet arrivals. The solid lines are indicated the client sequence. The dashed lines shows the server sequence. See here, in this side we are having the dashed line sequences. This is the server sequence. In this side we are having the solid lines. That means it shows the client state sequence. Now the next one is Berkeley sockets. In Berkeley sockets, we are having some primitives. These primitives are related to the TCP. The TCP is the protocol of transport layer. For the transport layer, we are having 2 protocols. One is TCP protocol. Second one is UDP protocol. Let's see the primitives in the Berkeley sockets one by one. The primitive is a socket. It creates a new communication endpoint. Creates a new communication. Bind. The meaning is attach a logical address. Attach a logical address to a socket. Next primitive is listen. It announces the willingness to accept the connections. Accept. Block the caller until the connection attempt arrives. Connect. Actively attempt to establish a connection. Send. Send some data over the connection. Receive. Receive some data from the connection. Lastly, to release the connection, the primitive is close. Okay, this is the program. You can go through this program. Now, coming to the protocols, elements of transport protocols. Coming to the elements of transport protocols, we are having some addressing, connection establishment, connection release, flow control and buffering, multiplexing, and lastly, crash recovery. First, coming to the transport protocol, here The environment is the first diagram shows the environment of data link layer. The second one is the environment of transport layer. See here, for the first one is data link layer. There is a physical communication channel between the routers. Okay. For the transport layer environment, this is the environment of transport layer. Here, this is the subnet. See, this is the subnet. In the subnet, we are having some routers. These routers are connected physically or connected wireless. Okay, this is the transport protocol. The next one, first one is addressing. See, coming to the addressing point of view with respect to transport layer, this is the host 1 and host 2. This is the application layer, and this is the application layer, transport layer, network layer, data link layer, and physical layer. See, they mentioned physical, data link, network, transport, and application layer. Here, the addressing will be like, see, this is the application process here. This will goes to the transport. In the transport layer, the transport connection will be established, and this is the NSAP. This is network service access point. Okay, from this network service access point, it will directly goes to the receiver side, network service access point. That is the reason why it is said to be point-to-point data delivery from network layer to network layer. From here, this is the TSAP, that is a transport service access point. These are the port numbers 15, 1522, 1836 are. These are the different port numbers. These are the different port numbers. Okay. This is the NSAP means network service access point. TSAP means transport service access point. TSAP will be the address of the port at the receiver side transport layer. Okay. This is TSAPs and NSAPs and transport connections. First, coming to the connection establishment. Okay. See here. This is the 4 means that this is the layer number 4 in the transport layer. Okay. Here we are having 2 diagrams. In the first, how a user process in host 1 establishes a connection with the time delay server in host 2. See, in the first diagram, host 1 and host 2 are there. User is at the application layer. See, left side at the transport layer, we are having, see, for every transport layer, we are having TSAPs. That means transport service access point. These are the port numbers. See here, this port is the sender address, and this is the receiver address. Okay, these two needs to be connected. These two needs to be connected. Okay, all these are process server. All these are process server. See here, process server means in the first diagram, how a user process in host 1 establishes a connection with a time in the first one there is no time delay. Directly it will connect. In the second diagram, see, it is having some time delay in host 2, a time delay of host 2. Coming to the connection establishment, this is not required for you. See here, this is very important. This is the host 1 and host 2. Host 1 sending a CR. CR means connection request with this is the sequence number of the packet. After receiving the connection request from the host 1, host 2 sends an acknowledgement. See, acknowledgements of sequence and this is the acknowledgement of X. This is the sequence of Y. That is the meaning of this is the packet number of host 2 and acknowledgement for the X previously. This is the previous packet acknowledgement and this is the host 2 sequence number. Now the host 1 sends data after connection establishment. We are this connection request is accepted by host 2. After accepting the host 2 connection, the host 1 transfers the data sequence number X and acknowledgement Y. This is the acknowledgement Y. For the sequence number, this is an acknowledgement and this is the sequence number of the data to be sent by the host 1. See, here we are having 3 protocol scenarios. Here we are having the first protocol scenario we have seen, that is a 3-way handshake method. 3-way handshake method is nothing but first we need to request for a connection. That is, connection request has been sent. After receiving the connection request, the receiver acknowledges the sender's request. The receiver acknowledges the sender's request and the receiver also sends some data to the sender. Now, after getting the acknowledgement for the connection request, now the sender directly transfers the data. This is the 3-way method. That is the said to be 3-way handshaking method. That is the normal operation. Second diagram shows the old connection request appearing out of nowhere. See here, the old connection request is appearing nowhere. In this case, what we are getting, see, after sending the meaning of old connection request appearing out of nowhere, that is the meaning of the meaning of that situation is called as old duplicate. See, the connection request sent by the host 1 is lost. Okay, but after sending the connection request, the host 1 and host 2 are disconnected. That means the connection may be lost. And for the received request from host 1, host 2 sends an acknowledgement for sequence number X. For sequence number X, the acknowledgement is ACKX, and thus host 2 packet is containing the sequence number Y. Now, the host 1 reject the acknowledgement to Y. Why it is not sending acknowledgement for Y? It needs to send. Normally, it needs to acknowledge the received packet with containing the sequence number Y with the acknowledgement ACKY, but it is sending reject ACKY. That means the acknowledgement was rejected. Why the acknowledgement was rejected means it was a old duplicate value. It was a old duplicate value. See here. This is also the third case, duplicate connection request and duplicate acknowledgement. Duplicate connection request and duplicate. In this also we are rejecting the duplicate packets and we are rejecting the duplicate acknowledgements. Connection release. This is very simple. Previously for connection request, host 1 requested a connection with CR. Host 2 acknowledges the same. After acknowledging this connection request, host 1 sending the data and host 1 sending the data. Here the no data are delivered after disconnection request. See here, DR, the DR will be sent by host 2. That means the no longer these two hosts want to be connected, then DR will be sent by another host. See here, the 2 army problem. See here, we are having 2 armies here, blue army 1 and blue army 2 and white army. In the middle of 2 blue army, we are having a white army in the middle. See the example. See, The first one, here we are having two diagrams. First one is a normal case of three-way handshake method. See, in the first one, see host 1 and host 2. Host 1 initially sends a DR. DR means disconnection request. DR means disconnection request. See, first host 1 sends a disconnection request to host 2 and starts timer. Okay, within a timer expires, the host 2 sends DR disconnection request plus timer. Okay, after these two are agreed upon disconnect request. Okay, that it host 1 and host 2 are releases the connection. Now sending the acknowledgement. Okay, finally it releases the connection. Here, this diagram is for releasing a connection. It is a three steps method. First, host 1 sends for a DR disconnection request to host 2. After receiving the host DR disconnection request from host 1, it needs to acknowledge it. The host 2 also sends DR to host 1. Okay, for the host 2 DR, the host 1 needs to send an acknowledgement. Okay, finally the connection will be released after three steps. This is normal scenario. That is a three-way handshake method. See the second method, a final acknowledgement is asked. See how host 1 sends a send DR plus starts timer. After sending a disconnection request, it sets the timer. Okay, and the receiver also sends the DR and starts the timer. Okay, now finally the host 1 needs to send an acknowledgement to the host 2. Okay, either of the reason the acknowledgement sent by host 1 is lost. See here, the case is acknowledgement lost. I'm repeating once again. Host 1 sends a disconnection request to host 2. Host 2 also sends a disconnection request to host 1. Okay, host 1 needs to acknowledge the same with the ACK. Here the ACK sent was lost in the transmission. Okay, within the timeout, see, the host 2 sends a DR. This DR needs to be acknowledged before the timer lapses. Okay, here the timeout is done. Release the connection. See, these are the two cases. Response lost and response lost and subsequent DR lost. These are not required. Only you need to write two. The next one is flow control and buffering. Flow control and buffering. These are the responsibilities of transport layer, flow control and buffering. In the flow control and buffering, the first one here we are having, this is the first diagram, this is the second one, and this is the third one. In the first one, we are having a chained fixed size buffers. These three are the fixed size buffers or chained. The second one is the chained variable size buffers. See, these three are three different sizes. Third one is one large circular buffer per connection. Per one connection, one buffer. Okay. In this, we are having some flow control. Some unused space will be there in the buffer. Some unused space will be there in the buffer. See, these are the different flow control and buffering information. This is called as dynamic buffer allocation. This is not required for you. Coming to the multiplexing, this is also not required. Yeah. This you need only transport layer protocols. The internet transport protocol. We are having two protocols in transport layer. One is UDP, user datagram protocol. The second one is TCP, transmission control protocol. First, we are going to discuss about UDP. In this, we are first introduction to UDP and RPC, remote procedure call, and the real-time transport protocol, RTP. See, this is the UDP header. Simply, this is the UDP header. Okay, in the UDP header, we are having, this is the only header. What information that the header will contains in a packet, I told you so many times, the packet is containing two parts. One is header part and second one is data payload part. Header part is containing the source address and the destination address. Here in the header part, we are having four parts. Here the address is port number. In the transport layer, the address will be the port number. This is the source port number and this is the destination port number. The total length of UDP segment, the total length of UDP segment. This UDP checksum is to detect the errors at the receiver side. Okay, totally only 4 fields we are having in the UDP header. This diagram is called as UDP header diagram. The size is 32 bits. It is containing 4 information, that is source port number, destination port number, total length of the UDP segment, a UDP checksum which is used for error detection at the receiver side. The second one is remote procedure call. Remote procedure call. See here we are having client CPU and server CPU. Okay, this is the client for both sides. Here the aim is, the shaded part is this is the client stub and the shaded part here is the server stub, and we are having 5 steps here. The first one is client executes the client stub. Client executes the client stub and it will goes through operating system. The result will be passed through operating system and it will goes through the network to receiver side operating system to receiver side server stub, and finally it will reach us to the server. Simple. The remote we need to know the stub. Okay, here stub is nothing but it is a piece of code that converts the parameters passed between the client. Note this point, students. Client stub and server stub. I'm telling the meaning of stub here. Here, this is the distributed computing concept. This remote procedure call is the distributed computing concept, and this stub is a piece of code at the client stub and receiver stub. A stub is a piece of code that converts the parameters passed between the client and server during remote procedure call. Repeating, this code converts the parameters passed between the client and server during RPC. Here, the responsibility of stub is to perform the conversion of parameters. So, this total remote procedure calls looks like a local function call for the remote computer. Here, the operation we are doing is remote operation, but the operation will be like a local. Why? Because the client stub converts, and at the server side, the server stub converts the parameter passed between the client and server. Client stub and server stub will convert the parameter passed between client and server during this remote procedural call. Then these two stubs will perform the conversion of parameters. So this remote procedural call totally looks like a local function call, even though it has done on the remote computer. Okay, this is what the meaning of the remote procedure call. You need to note the point, the responsibility of client stub and server stub. You need the stub is a concept of totally the stub converts the stub are nothing but a piece of code that converts the parameters passed between the clients and servers. Okay. In tomorrow's class, we are going to discuss the next topics, that is the real-time transport protocol. And after that, we are going to start the TCP. The second next protocol is TCP.